Welcome to Network with Net Worth. I'm Serena Miranda. Oh, Serena Ogwen Miranda. I forget I got a long name. And today my guest is Kasandra. Help me with the middle name.
A long name like you, Kasandra Vitacca Mitchell.
Vitacca Mitchell. And I'm so glad you're here with me today because you are one of the first people I met in my journey to re-enter, I guess, being self-employed. I have always been working for a school district or my husband. I was his operations manager for many, many years for his real estate business, our real estate business, right? But this is now my own project, Net Worth Insurance Services. And I'm starting to get out there. And I was so honored to meet you at NABO. And that was one of the first organizations that I joined. And it has been so fulfilling. I plug it everywhere I go. I've just been really grateful for the women I've met, the encouragement, the advice, and I'm just really impressed with the entire organization.
Yeah,
and you were one of the first people I met.
Nice.
And I thank you for being here. And today's Monday, Motivational Monday, and Monday Motivation, however you want to say it. And I thought of you. You were one of the first people because you gave me motivation.
Amen.
When I heard you speak, I said, I want her around me because you just give this energy of focus and motivation.
Nice.
And
Hey.
I just really appreciate you. And so tell us a little bit about yourself.
Sure. So it's always such a fun question, right? So
Yes.
do it in a minute. Let me tell you about myself. So about myself, first and foremost, I am a very happy person. I use the word happy. It's a generic term, but by the grace of God, I do happen to live and have for a lot of years in a very at peace, content, exuberant life. It's almost a little embarrassing the older I get because it's almost silly like as an adult. And I think they have this image sometimes I should be so serious. I am serious. I know how to be serious. I run businesses. I run families. I know how to do things. But life is fun. So I want to start with that. Who am I? I like having a good time. I like laughing. I like smiling. It's important. It's who I am. So beyond in terms of who I am in that respect, I run a lot of businesses. Have been you met me. I don't think you knew at the time. When you met me, I probably introduced myself. I probably gave you a business card with a little treat, a sweet treat,
Yes.
A nice, healthy, sweet treat, because I have a business where I own vending machines that I fill with healthy drinks and snacks. And then I turn all the net profit over to charities. So I had retired before you met me, before anybody in San Antonio met me, because I moved here in 2020. I had retired from running an independent financial services practice. I had spent almost 12 years as a wealth educator. In that process and working with people and their money, really what you're doing, the way I approached money, I was not interested in selling people product. We sell product, it's insurance, investments.
Right.
I was interested in people learning how to use them because money is not math, money is human behavior. And so people don't know how to interact, think about, feel about, understand money. It doesn't matter what product I sell them. And I don't like selling people stuff. I want them to go for solutions. And so I ended up coaching. Coaching came very naturally. It's even before the financial services practice. I was in the world, sort of the corporate world of training and development. So personal efficacies. So my point, all this is to say, who am I? I've spent my whole life helping individuals increase their potential, whether it's career potential, their job performance, their economics, and now it's moved into even their relationships with their spouses in terms of I care about people's marriages and even their spiritual walk. So that's who I am.
That's wonderful. And that's what caught my ear was your history of being a business owner and the way I'm an educator by heart. So that's where I feel I lay a lot of my information in. I like to educate and inform, and I'm just that type of person. It's like, yeah, I sell insurance, but really I just teach people how to insure their property and their lives. That's really about it, right? But one of the things I remember going to the luncheon, it was the NABO Lunch Connect. And you gave us these resources on financial, right? And it was a category, how to categorize your life or what finance is. I still have the chart. It was like this chart. And that caught my eye. And then you're like, and then healthy treats. And I was like, how does this go together? But then you shared it with us. And I just thought it was really it's like you've evolved into this amazing, it's just all led to one thing, right? And now you're doing coaching and this book that you've written.
And that was before even Healthy Treats came after. I mean, so I was coaching and speaking. The book was published in 2019. So that was all before. When I got to San Antonio, because it was also the lockdown, I got here 2020. So it was a lockdown. I had retired in 2019. I just was I took an executive sabbatical. I took an entire year off, It was
nice.
Awesome. Because it's all I've ever done is kind of be head of household, is work. It's all I ever thought about. It's all I ever wanted. So all of a sudden I'm like, wow, I get to do whatever the heck I want. What do I really, really, really want to do? And so I checked out. And I mean, I wasn't, I still interacted with people. I still, it's just, I stopped trying to make something, trying to invent. I just stopped trying to produce, just live for a while. And it was brilliant. So Healthy Treats for You really was, honest to God, it was a pure business play. It was a tax play. It was a business play. I had already had another business that I turned all the net proceeds over to the contractors that I hired. I won't get into all the details of that business, but it was just the way I'd structured it. It kind of worked and kind of didn't. And it was all charitable again. So I was again looking for that model. So Healthy Treats, because it's a model that's easy to work and then turn all the process. It's just easy, long story short. And so that's how I met y'all. The only reason I joined NABO, truth be told, is because I love us women. I need women. I tend to relate more to business women. I tend to relate more to women who are either at a high executive level or running their own business. Nothing against people who are kind of just basically working, just kind of working a job. But I tend to relate to people who are creating things in their work environment. People who are at the executive level are creating something, even if they're creating it for somebody else. It's my kind of people. And so I just needed women. And so y'all made sense to hang out with. And you do. I love you guys. So
I know. Well, let's get into motivation, because you motivated me. So I have some questions for you so we can share with our community and get some insight for this.
Yeah.
So how do you stay motivated, especially on Mondays? And my question with my previous guest is, Mondays tend to be a bad word in some groups, whether we have employees that we're trying to get motivated or we're trying to get that noise out of our head and have a good beginning of the week. How do you do that?
So, yeah, indeed, I find it sad that people approach the work week with that feeling of yuck, that I don't want to go back. That's a horrible place to be. My heart breaks for people who approach their work week that way. It is not hard for me to get motivated to start a work week because I understand why I'm doing what I'm doing. And so you asked me, how do I get motivated? I don't have to get motivated because I work with a sense of purpose. I know why I'm doing it. I've been very fortunate that I have been blessed to be able to do what I want to do, what I believe is my calling to do. So I love work. For all intents, let me full disclosure. I am a workaholic. I have a problem. And it's not funny because I actually have put myself in the hospital on 4 different occasions because of it. I love work. I will overwork. So when I look back at when people ask me, like, what do you have? It's again, I'm one of those weirdos. Like, I may not be the best person to ask. However, because I know what it takes to be successful, because I know what research proves works for people, I have a presentation that I delivered, do what the successful do, get what the successful have. There are some truths about what it takes to get motivated. And I use these too, right? Mm-hmm. Again, so one thing in particular is you've got to know why you're doing it. Know your why. And, and it can't be money. It just can't. It's not big enough. The dollar is not big enough because no one at some point, I don't care how much you're getting paid. I promise you, it's not going to be enough.
Right.
Money is not enough. Research proves it. Of course, when I was, anyways, that's another presentation in terms of when you discover that truth.
Right.
You have to know why you're doing it, your personal why. So, but from a practical perspective, I do still practically have to get geared up. I have to get ready because it's a different mode to think about, okay, because there's to-dos and not every to-do, just because I can love work doesn't mean I love every to-do. Let me be real clear.
Right.
So for me, my work week, even though, yes, the 9 to 5 begins on Monday, for me, it actually sort of begins with my rest. I Shabbat. So I honor the Sabbath. For me, I recognize the truth that if I can put in 6 days of work, that 7th day, I truly, from sundown Friday to sundown Saturday, and for me, it's really sundown Friday to really about after the official church service on Sunday, it sort of goes there. I am not producing. In the 10 words, it's called Devarim. Some people know these as commandments. That's not what the word is. The word is Devarim. The word is word. In the 10 words of the God I follow, one of those, these very strong instructions, if you want to lead a good life, is to Shabbat, to honor Shabbat, honor the day out. And honors, the key word there, it's him. Yes. It's this process of spending time with loved ones and spending time sort of connecting with my God of my understanding. And so how I get motivated, I do Shabbat because it allows me to sort of shut off my brain, shut off all worries, all fears, all trepidations, anything, and shut it off and just spend time sort of in the glory of, I'm pretty good about staying in the now anyway, but it's really checking out in that respect. So it's not that I'm not doing anything. I'm really spending a lot of time in the Word. I'm spending a time with my husband, with family, with whomever. And so that's a big practical thing for me. And I had to learn how to do that. In fact, I learned how to do it back when I started my very first entrepreneurial endeavor back in 2007, 2008. That's when I really put it into practice because I knew I wasn't going to make it at the high level that I had to work and the intensity if I didn't honor that time out. And it made a world of difference. So that keeps me motivated. And so that's a practical sort of taking that full day out. The other part of getting motivated for Monday for me is also, it kind of starts on Sunday. So my work day starts on Sunday and it starts pretty much anywhere from 1 to 3 o'clock-ish. I'm kind of checking into the day. And and it goes, for me, it goes not just in looking at sort of planning the week, like who do I need to call? And I do a brain dump. I have a certain type of journal that I like to buy. I mean, I know down to like, they have to be hardbound. They've got to be, we're goofy. Like we have systems that work for us, right? So these little journal things that I buy, and I literally just brain dump everybody I got to call, everything I got to do, just everything, even if I have to I got to read that article, or, I got to think about that. Even if I just got to put some brain time, literally just dumping. That's and then I kind of think through, okay. And then I schedule them. And then I literally go take these things and go, okay, where am I going to do I schedule that for the most extreme one will be like when I think about something. I have to think about something. So I'm going to think about it. I will literally put a half an hour, think about this on a day and schedule it. And I will block my day. I will do that for the week. And so I'll block out my week. And sometimes some of those blocks are think time. And others are like who I'm calling and who I'm writing and what I'm meetings, etc. So the time blocking happens on Sunday as well. And so that lays out the week. But that week is laid out because I've reflected upon what I set out to accomplish for the month, which is what I set out to accomplish in the quarter, which is what I set out to accomplish based on my annual plan. And my annual plan, which I do every year, starting in about October-ish, I start actually putting thoughts on paper. And by the end of the year, I've written it all out. And that started from even my whole vision for my life, because I even have a whole sort of board. It's not a lot of my stuff is writing. I'm visual in words as well. So I have a visual board about the vision for my life. Like, I mean, 10, 20, 30, 40, 50 posthumous life, even like literally even the legacy is part of that. So I'm taking all of that and funneling it down to this week. And so literally every Sunday is kind of a little bit, and it doesn't take that long because it just doesn't. I'm not even sure. Maybe at the half hour at the tops, and that'd be too long. Probably maybe it is. It probably is. 20 minutes to half an hour of just dumping all the stuff, and then I actually will start. So that's how I get myself motivated for Monday. I prepare for it.
Prepare. And I've noticed since I've been on this journey since January, Sundays are my time in the evening. I sit down after, because I always tell the kids we try to have Sunday dinner, because they're all in their, or they're young adults. So their schedules are everywhere. So I'm like, I like to make dinner and everyone come together. We have our Sunday dinner. And then I sit down and I write it all out. And I have my notebook. I like the softbound. I'm a softbound, and I love it when they have this little.
Okay, see, right? Isn't that funny? That matters, though. Those little tools. Again, I like the writing tools. I know people like electronic tools. I'm not really part of that generation yet, so I mesh them, but yeah.
I go back and forth, but on Sundays I like to plan, and then I put it on my Google Calendar, and I just kind of look over my calendar, make sure. But yeah, sometimes I even have to block out the kids and the family. So because we have so much going on. Yeah. So Sundays, I like to kind of sit down and look over my week for that on Sundays.
You will find anybody who has any measure of success is planning. People who tell you they wing it, good luck.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, hey, more power to you. I'm certain there's some people out there that can just wing it. There are things I can wing, but I can wing them because I've spent decades planning stuff. So my winging it is based on like 20 years of knowledge of stuff. So I'm not really winging it. You know what I'm saying?
No, you're not. Oh, let's go to the next question. The next question was, we already kind of touched on your routine. So if you have a team, how do you transition what you're doing to help the team also stay motivated? Whether you have employees or you have people working for you to get projects done, how do you make sure that motivation is there for your team?
So I've absolutely had lots of teams in the past. My current endeavors do not. In fact, I built the business model specifically because I did not want any team. Doesn't mean I don't hire contractors, but I was done with the team. I had done enough teams. That's a lot of work. That's a different level of work. That's a different level of management, because it's a different layer of your job, right? When you're now having people who you have to deal with their mind and their heart and their home life and so how to motivate them. A huge part of that is teaching them the principles of laying out their own plans, right? So helping them understand you've got to be disciplined, you've got to be organized, and teaching them the tools and the techniques to do that, and figuring out, because a lot of people aren't. You have to teach people these things. You have to learn them. And a lot of people don't understand them. I teach one of the presentations I give is about time management. It's about time. I call it time control. How do you control time rather than time controlling you? Because people love to say, I don't have the time. And that is complete BS. You have as much time as everybody else.
Yes.
You are not organized enough, intentional enough, clear enough about what you're doing with your time. and how you're spending that time, or even why you, again, the why. Why would you dedicate time to this area of life? Is it giving you what you want? And so a lot of when it comes to team members, it's funny because you almost don't have to motivate. You don't have to like use extra special techniques for people when you can get them to sort of map out their plan, map out what they want to achieve, organize their time. They'll kind of take care of themselves. It's like, and they're either going to be into it or they're not. Like, I don't have to force you to be motivated. Motivation is an internal game anyway, right? That's you either want to be somewhere or you don't. And that's where your time will tell you whether you want to be somewhere, because how you tell someone you love them is TIME. It's one of the ways you tell them how you love them. Where do you spend your time? Because, and again, it's what you want to do. You will spend time doing what you want to do. And so if you don't want to spend the time at this job and you'd rather spend the time complaining about why it's horrible, then you probably shouldn't be there. That's great. You know, I mean, there's a point at which you're like, maybe you should do something else. So again, I focused on tools and techniques when I was working with people, working with a team to help them structure their time, their day, and also made it really clear what along those lines. Here's what the company goals are. Here's what we're trying to achieve. Here's the vision. Again, same thing. Here's the vision. Here's the dream. Here's the hope. Even to the point of these are even getting people even invested in this is what it really costs to run this business. Like this is what it's about. Because everyone loves to tell you they're worth so much more money than they're worth. Okay, go make it. If you really are worth that much money, go ask somebody else to pay you that dollar and see if they return it to you.
Exactly. Yeah.
You're worth kind of what the market will bear and someone else is willing to pay for you. And so get honest. And that's one of the things I'd help people understand. Get honest about what the money really looks like. Because again, people will start to get wonky with, well, I need more money. Well, do you know what it really looks like? Do you know what your competition really looks like? Do you know what your skill set really looks like? I have no problem telling people this stuff. Like, and being real clear with them. You don't have what it takes to make that level of dollar. You're never going to get it until you do some things. And people believed me because I would present them research and they knew I wasn't trying to, and I would tell them all the time, I don't need to keep you here forever. I hope you go get a job. Like, I hope you get more. I don't need you forever. There are 8 billion people in the world. I promise you, I will find more staff. I want you to get as much as you can possibly get out of this. Let me help you do it. And when they know you're kind of on their team, like I'm working harder for them. That was what I tell them too. Do not make me work harder for your job than you'll work for your job. I want your success possibly more than you. And if that's the case, you might want to reconsider. Then I'm definitely don't need to pay you more money.
Exactly.
You should want it more than I do. And so when you can cultivate these things, again, it's kind of the heart attitude and then skill, techniques and tips, tricks, techniques.
Right.
It works out. It works out. So I never had problems with teams because
you have the structure. And the structure, I think that's definitely key. I just recently hired a new employee, a friend of my son's he's like, Serena, I really want to work with you this summer. He's an A&M student. And I said, okay, but you have to get a license. I said, I mean, I can't pay you. I need somebody that has a license because you're going to be talking to customers. And you can't talk business if you don't have a license. So he's like, okay, I'll do it. So he went and got his license and he tells me we sit down every week and we go over what our goals are and what we need. And he's like, he knows he makes commission if he can bring in business. So he goes, I need to talk to more people. And I'm like, okay, let's go. And it's so weird because right now everyone's all about the Gen Z, working with Gen Z. And I'm like, I have 3 Gen Zers. Okay. I'm like, my kids are Gen Z. They all work with us. They all work with the family.
Nice.
Just the other day, my son went to a training and he taught me, he goes, Mom, on Sunday night, I'm doing a calendar audit for my week. And I was like, tell me more. What does that mean? And he showed us the training. And so we sit down. That's kind of where I sit down on Sundays and I go over I audit my calendar.
Yeah.
And my 20-year-old showed me how to do that.
Nice.
So, and it's it's been interesting, but also William's not an employee. He's my contractor. And I was very clear. I'm like,
Yeah.
I'm not paying a W-2 salary.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
you tell me your schedule, you tell me your time,
Yeah.
and I'm gonna tell you how we can make it work so you can earn some more money,
Yeah.
extra money. Because
Yeah,
I'm paying him
nice.
hourly and then on top some commission. But
Nice.
yeah, having that structure helps him because he's like, Serena, I want to talk to you. I said, okay, we meet every Tuesday and we go have coffee and we go over our plan and
Yep.
what happened the week before and
Nice.
what it looks like. So
Yeah.
it's been fun. I like that type of and then he'll call me. He's like, I got it all done, Serena. I'm done. Can I take off? I'm like, go take off. Cause it's also
Yeah,
his
yeah.
summer, and he's with his family and his grandparents. So I'm like, you work. If you need to work, get it all done in 3 hours. We're good.
Yeah.
Get it done in 3 hours and then we'll move on. But yeah, so it's been, he's really my only one that I have to physically think, okay, I need to make sure that he's got his stuff in line and make sure I'm giving him what he needs so he can be successful. Right. So, but one of the last questions I have is what advice do you have for new business owners because sometimes being a new business owner, you've had many businesses, but when you're a new business or you're launching a new business or you're revamping a business, how do you stay motivated and focused?
Yeah. So gosh, I've done, it's wildly enough, the same answer. I feel like it's wild. I have thought about these questions and just until you're asking me, it hit me. It remains the same. What are you doing it for? Why? Like, what are you going for? And that needs to remain in a weird way. You always need to kind of remind yourself of that. And it changes. Right. Like once you define it, stay in that space of definition, and then it'll change a little bit as you move along. So, and I say that because for a new business owner, when I launched into my first business, I had come off of corporate America, right? I had left corporate America, and I had PTSD. There was a bit of trauma. I'm not so sure. It was. Sometimes there was a break, and it was painful, and it's hard, and you have scars and wounds and hurts. And I thought, I cannot keep working for people. But I thought, what the hell do I do? How do you do this? Now, because all of my career, it had been very entrepreneurial. I had run divisions of companies. I swear to God, people would hire me, no lie, because they didn't know how to figure stuff out. So they'd be like, look, just come in, be my right-hand guy and just figure it out. Here's stuff, figure it out. Nobody else can. I don't have the time, but there's compliance issues. A lot of things were like federal mandated stuff, and they're like national, issues that were like, we're going to lose our licenses to even work anymore, but we don't know how to figure it out. In any case, I did a lot of that kind of work for companies, corporations, universities, nonprofits, right? These areas of like, oh my gosh, kind of crisis management, come in and don't let us go under kind of deal. Yeah, even that, we're way under budget kind of stuff, or not under budget. We're in the red. How about that? So I did a lot of fixing of people, getting them back, what I call getting them off of dead center, getting them out of the hole, getting them back into an operational system where they can move forward, and then bringing people in to take over the job. Like I was never the person that was going to stay on forever. They would want me to, but I knew I wasn't. I'm one of those, I'm what's called a quick start. I'm one of those, get something started, get it running, get it operational, get it flowing, get the money going, and then turn it over to other people and let them run with it. I'm one of those. Nice. I sell off businesses kind of person. Yeah. So when I first started though, before I figured, so that was what I did in corporate or when working for other people situations. So when I actually was like, okay, no, I'm no longer going to do this for other people. Now I got to do it for myself. Right. All of a sudden you're like, oh shoot, what do I do? Like I had their problems to solve. Now I've got to solve my own. Well, my own was, I got to pay my mortgage, pay my car note, provide meals for my son. I was a single mom at the time. So my motivation was, I got to eat. I was real clear. I had no cushion. I had no husband to fall back onto. I had nothing. I had gotten zeroed out. Just another story for another day.
Yeah.
So my motivation was desperation a little bit, and I knew it. And it was helpful because I had no ego. Because this is one of the one things about being in business for yourself. You get rejected a lot. You get told no all the time. And God forbid, everybody thinks you're trying to gouge them for dollars. Everybody thinks you're a shyster. It's fascinating. And the thing is, I didn't have the time or the energy to play that I'm your best friend. No, I'm not your best friend. I'm here to do business.
Right.
You either are ready to do business or not. And so I had no shame asking people within 5 minutes practically, what's it going to take to do business with you? What's it going to take? And so I was almost pushy. I was pushy for some people's tastes. For other people's tastes, they loved it because they're like, oh, you're so refreshing because you just cut to the chase.
Yeah, I don't have to sugarcoat it.
Yeah, right. And so, again, my why was I got to feed my family. So, and wildly enough, I entered the financial services business to feed my family, not because I wanted to. Talking to people about their money has got to be the worst profession ever because people lie. They don't tell you the truth. They blame you when it's their fault because they won't do the hard work. It's disgusting. It's awful. I hated it. And simultaneously loved it because I love talking about money. It's crazy. So I had a passion for the process. I had a passion for the subject. I still like it. It was actually trying to sell people to buy me that I couldn't stand.
Yeah.
I couldn't stand that. I just wanted them to get it. Just listen to what I'm saying. Look at the math, look at your human behavior and be honest. And people are so not honest with themselves about what matters. And that was the hardest part for me. So let me go back. What motivates you? And I don't want to you have to know why you're doing it. And in the beginning, absolutely, I was feeding my family. So for the first 3 years of running my financial services business, mind you, I'm winning awards, I'm winning trips, doing a great job. I'm a hard worker and I put in the work and I knew what I was talking about. I different reasons why I already knew kind of all the topic. Even though I'd never been in the business, I knew everything that they were saying. And eventually learned to actually love the process. When I finally kind of got over the fear of I'm not going to be able to feed my family or feed my kid. And I realized, no, you know what? This is the greatest thing ever. I literally can decide what my time looks like. Yeah. Then it became, that's when I began to realize why I had such a hard time working for somebody else. For me, my why is my time. My time. I don't like wasting. It's why I don't watch TV. It's why I don't talk about. Don't ask me anybody who's on TV. Don't ask me anybody who does popular music. Don't ask me anything about popular culture. Don't ask me anything about what the masses love. Right. I don't know. I don't. Doesn't mean I don't know human behavior and how the masses think, but I just don't know all the names related to all these trendy current things. It doesn't matter. It's not my thing. I don't waste my time reading that kind of stuff, listening to that kind of stuff. My time matters, how I spend it and how I give it. And so that's what I figured out. And so for me, again, I knew my why. My motivation was my time, how I spend my time and what I invested in. And so for a person who's in business, more likely than not, there's a reason why you're running your own business. You're either running your own business because you couldn't take working for a boss anymore, because there's something about that exchange and you got to identify what that is. A lot of what also is hard for me was the political game you got to play. There's a lot of politics. It is not the best man, woman who gets the promotions. It's not. Right. And truths, right? I mean, and the best men and women don't necessarily always want the promotions. Let's be real clear. So and it doesn't mean just because the people are the CEOs and the CFOs and the C-suites, it doesn't mean they're not good at what they do. That's all I worked with those people. But I'm telling you, there's a game. There is absolutely a game when it comes to working for other people. And I'm not good at that game. And I had to recognize that as well. And so these are things you got to recognize about yourself. And so figure out what your motivation is. Why are you doing it? And that will help, because when you encounter a situation, as we all do in life, where something goes wonky and everything goes astray, and you have to suddenly reinvent yourself. I've had to reinvent myself. I've literally reinvented myself because I've had like 4 different, vastly different careers. It's like you start all over again. And I know why I'm doing it. And so it's really not that big of a deal in the end to start over, because I know what I'm doing, even though I'm in a completely different industry, a completely different topic. I'm like, okay, here we go again, but I know why I'm doing it. And so then I can make it happen. And so eventually I succeed again. So long answer. But.
No, that's wonderful. And it makes me think, right? Because when I left, I was an educator, and I left education. I went to work for Region 20, which was probably, I have to say, was my favorite of all my career in education, because I was working with the adults, right? I wasn't just now in a classroom. I was working with adults, and at the state level and federal level. And my husband tells me one night, he goes, okay, either you need to quit your job or I need to hire somebody to help me, because it was growing in 2012. And I said, well, what do you mean? I quit my job. I was like, we survived the '08 crash, because he was a mortgage broker. And I wasn't ready to let go of that paycheck, you know? And he said, no, seriously, we've got enough. He showed me the numbers and he said, come on. But when I started, I said, okay, let's do it. So I took a leap of faith and I started working with him, and I had to come up with my why. Why was I working in this field that really wasn't my interest? Real estate was not my thing, right? Education was. I was a bilingual educator. So I had to figure out and when he said, well, what do you want your title to be? And I was like, I don't know, because I wasn't a real estate agent, but basically I was operations. So I was like, I want to be operations manager. So I was in charge of the onboarding of the people. I did all the people things, because he's the numbers in the background. And I was the one that was recruiting and getting the agents onboarded. And so you're right. I had to come up with a why, because now I was in this business that I didn't create. And it's like, why am I here? And how can I make this a joyous adventure? Right. And it worked. It was from 17 to just this past 2023 that was my role. And then I told him, oh, by the way, I quit. So find someone else to do that for you. And luckily we have virtual assistants that are so capable. And I was able to train them. And now I'm doing this is what I want to do is create and brand and grow net worth insurance. So you're right. The why is huge. That does give us 99% of our motivation is why are we doing what we're doing?
And again, I say it all the time. Money isn't enough. Money isn't enough. You need it. And the thing is, when you know why you're doing it, when you know what motivates you, even though money isn't enough, let's be real clear. It could be your why. I want to make a lot of money. When I started my business, again, I went into financial services. I did it because I could make a lot of money really quick, and I needed to feed my family, and I couldn't go back to a corporate gig. I was like, I can't do it again. I gotta explore what it's going to look like. Again, it was more desperation. It was more trauma that was motivating it. So my why was I got to feed my family. So money, right? But then I began to realize, oh, wow, you can make a lot of money. This is freaking cool.
Right.
And I'd already made nice money. I mean, I'd made nice money. I'd made great money before, but I'm like, you can make a lot of money. Like, this is fascinating, right? And I thought, what? Let me see. And then that became a motivation for a while. I was like, let me see how much money. I mean, I was still doing the same thing, but all of a sudden it was kind of the new, how high could I double it? Wow, I could. Could I double it again? I could. I'm like, mother of God, this is amazing. When I hit the second doubling, it was when I went, okay, I'm good. Like, it was a little bit of a game. It was my motivation for a while, if that makes any sense, right? So it's not that money being a motivation. It's not a wrong thing. I'd never made that much money before. I'd never seen those big numbers before.
Yeah.
And it was great. And I loved it. And yay, right? and that's cool. And I accomplished that goal, and so then it became another one. So I don't want to discount that money can't be a motivator. It absolutely can be a motivator, but no, kind of what you're doing it for. Do you see what I'm saying? Again, for me, it was a little bit of a test of my own. It was more about, can I do it? Is it possible? Am I that good at what I'm doing? Right. It was a litmus test. And so again, like I said, after I hit the second doubling, I was like, yeah, I'm good. I'm good. It's enough. Yeah. So.
Well, thank you so much for spending your time with me and with
Yeah.
our viewers, and tell us a little bit about the happiness formula.
Yeah. So, the reason why you're hearing about it more is because I had to examine my why. Like, what am I doing this for? Right.
Right.
So the book is called The Happiness Formula Book. And so you can kind of see it behind my head, whatever, but it's called The Happiness Formula Book, and you can get it on Amazon. And it is, so the book really is a sort of a segue into what I do or what I want to rekindle. So I am relaunching. You mentioned the word relaunch. I am relaunching my speaking and coaching, really more the speaking business, because I was starting to sort of travel around, be booked places. It was fun. And it's fun. So again, for me, a lot of my why is I love to, same with you, I love educating people. Like I want to spend all day educating groups of people. Like that's my coaching, education. It's just that groups, you can do a lot more than the one-on-one coaching. And so I'm still open to the one-on-one coaching. I'm doing that right now with a few different clients, but I find it more enjoyable to be leading presentations and giving people some tangible takeaways. It's fun. And I'm effective. I do appreciate being effective. Otherwise, it's not just about me. Like it wouldn't be as fun if it wasn't effective. And so the happiness formula, the book is about, it is research into what is it that people do to achieve the highest levels of happiness. And there is a formula, there's 3 elements, and sort of a lot of what I teach somewhat revolves around these 3 elements. And it had been even before I wrote the book. The book came kind of on the heels of a lot of coaching I had done. And it becomes almost like a mantra where I'm like, did you go through the formula? And eventually I didn't mean to write a book. It made sense. That's another story. But yeah, so the happiness formula is the book. It's still accessible on Amazon. And it really is about more, it lends itself to a lot of different types of presentations that are really about how do you individually, whatever your stage, whatever area of life, whether it's your career, your marriage, your spiritual walk, your parenting, how do you get the highest level of happiness in that area? And that's kind of what it's always about. Nice. So whatever the presentations are always about that.
Yes. So I think it's great. I can't wait I'm going to order it because I saw your presentation at NABO at the luncheon and the statistics were really interesting. And I came home and I shared them with my husband and the kids. I'm like, this is this is a topic that I think people need to have a conversation about because unfortunately, there's a lot of not happy people out there in the world.
Yeah, there's a lot of, not only just, like I told you in the presentation, it's not so much that people are miserable, depressed, but they're just, it's a little more painful than is necessary. It's possible. It is possible, right? I mean, you might not walk around some crazy, happy, laughing clown like me all day, or my dog who's driving me crazy here. Right. But it is possible, even, and I say this a lot, even amidst the storms. And that's the part that is mind blowing is even amidst some deep, 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 real, legitimate, viable, scary pain, you can be at peace and you can find the contentedness of life that's available. And so that's what I desire for people. And it takes a while. It's not like, in an instant, but in any case. So yes,
definitely. Well, thank you so much, Kasandra. I really appreciate your time and sharing all this great nuggets of knowledge with us and to stay motivated and just know your why. I think that's the biggest takeaway here.
My dog is barking up a storm, so it's a good time to say goodbye. Thank you very much. Bye. Bye. Oh my God.